Hey guys, and welcome back to Growing with TG. You can see here I have some pepper plants on the table, and I sowed these on February 27th, so it's been about a month. I have some in a 2-inch pot, and I also have some peppers in these smaller 6 cells, and this is actually what I sowed the seeds in. And today I want to talk to you guys about potting up or up potting. Either of those two terms you're going to hear, they both mean the same thing. And really my goal today is trying to simplify that process and to let you know that it is not as difficult as some may make it seem, especially new gardeners, and I am included in that. When I first started growing seeds indoors, I was very hesitant about potting up. But in the end, it is not that hard of a process. And also, they're not as delicate as you may think. You don't want to be super rough with them, that is for sure, but they can take a little bit of a, I wouldn't say beating, but they can take a little bit when you're potting them up and they will not get damaged. So today, let's talk about when you pot up, why you pot up, and I'm going to show you how I like to do it. And let's get into it, and let's start potting up some pepper plants. Okay, let's talk about why you need to up pot or pot up. As you can see here, I started my pepper seeds in these small 6 cells. And the reason I did that is because I had other plants on the grow rack and I didn't have enough space to have 7 or 8 of these 2-inch pots over on my grow rack. So I'm going to start them in these smaller cells right here. It's going to be less soil, as you can see. It's going to be less water, and I'm going to save space. So for all those reasons is why I like to start them in the small 6 cell. But eventually you are going to have to pot them up if they're going to be inside for more than 4 or 5 weeks. If you leave them in these small 6 cells for 8 weeks, they're going to get root bound. It's going to stress out your pepper plant, and you're not going to have the healthiest plant that you could have if you would have potted them up to this larger container. So that is why we pot them up. I planted these on the 27th of February. My target date to get them outside is May 1st to May 15th, anywhere in between there, depending on the ambient temperature and the soil temperature. So if I left these in here for another 5-6 weeks, they're going to become extremely root bound, and it's going to hinder the growth of your plant. We pot them up into these bigger containers to give the roots more space. You're going to get a nicer root ball so that when you transplant it outside, it's going to be a stronger, healthier plant. When your seedlings first start to emerge after they germinated, they're going to have these leaves right here. They're called the cotyledon leaves, and they are going to be the leaves that you see when it first sprouts out of the soil. And the plant itself will live off of that cotyledon leaf for a little bit until the true leaves, which would be these ones right here that look more like a pepper plant leaf that you would see in your garden. When they start to emerge, the plant will then be feeding off the energy from those true leaves. When I like to pot up, I want to see 2 sets of true leaves, which would mean 4 total leaves. As you see here, we got 1, 2, 3, and a 4th one here. Ideally, the second set right here would be a little bit larger. I started potting up sooner than I normally would just because I had time and I have a lot to do, and I want to get on top of that. As long as they have some true leaves and they're looking good and healthy, you can pot up and it's not going to hinder any of the growth or affect your pepper plants. Before I continue, I do want to show you guys a little closer here. Right here, this is the cotyledon leaves, and that's what you'll see when they first sprout out of the soil, and that is what they will live off of until these true leaves come. And you can see these look more like a pepper plant leaf, like you'd see in your garden, and that is the true leaves. So we got 1, 2, we got a 3rd one there, and then a little tiny one right there. So that is what you're looking for when you're getting ready to up pot or pot up. And ideally, the second set of true leaves right here would be a little bit bigger, but if they're at this stage right here, they are just fine to up pot and they will not hinder their growth at all. Okay, so now we're getting ready to pot up our pepper plants into these larger 2-inch cells. One thing I want to mention is You want to have some moisture in the soil when you up pot, but you don't want them to be just watered, or you don't want them to be super dry. Unfortunately, I did water these guys, I think 2 days ago, because they really needed it. So this isn't ideally how I would like to have my soil. However, it can be done. I like to handle the pepper plants by the leaves. So I don't know if you can see that. It's decent root growth right here. If I would have let these get a little bit larger, let these second set of true leaves get a little bit bigger, this root ball would be filled out a lot more, and I'd be able to just pop it out and it wouldn't fall apart and it'd just be all together. But if you look on the bottom and you started seeing roots going around like this in a circle, that is meaning that they are starting to get root bound, and that is what you want to avoid. But right here, that's just fine to pot up with this type of pepper. Now I'm just going to take my 2-inch container. I'll make a little bit of a hole in the middle. I'll grab them by the leaves, and I'm just going to place it right down in there. I'll push it down a little bit, and I'm just going to fill around the soil. Pat it down a little bit, make sure it's nice and sturdy. And that is all it takes right there, guys. It is not a hard process. Right there, and it is potted up, looking good. Like I said, that is all it takes. It is not a very difficult process. You don't have to be super delicate. I mean, you don't want to be ripping it out by any sense of the imagination, but you can be careful, but you don't have to be super careful. So let's make another one here, and I'll show you it one more time. These are the Flaming Flare, so that's a Fresno pepper. Pull them out. Now, a lot of my starts right here, let me see. This is the habanero, so they're growing a lot smaller. This is the Velociraptor. So I'm not going to pot these up quite yet. I'm going to give them more time in this 6 cell here. But if you look at this other 6 cell right here, this is the Jimmy Nardella sweet pepper. Delicious sweet pepper. I highly suggest you try this one out. But you can see they're not quite ready. You know, the second set of true leaves is just starting to come on. So I think for the rest of my peppers, which is going to be about 4 trays after I pot them up, I'm going to leave them grow for a little bit longer. But at least so far, I got a head start on about 3 of my trays are all ready to go. And one thing you will notice is that if you leave them in the small 6 cell too long, they will grow. They'll continue to grow. You'll see a noticeable difference in them growing. But when I come back in about 2 weeks and I show you the ones that I already potted up, they're going to grow way quicker just because they're going to have more room in the cell to spread their roots and grow. So just something to think about. I like using these 6 cells right here with the slits on the side, if you can see that, and the holes on the bottom right there. And the reason I like using these is because I can grab it right here by the leaves, and I can push up underneath there, and then I can pull it out. Just like that. So you can see some nice root growth here. They're hanging down. It is falling apart a little bit, like I said, because it is too moist. Also, they're not at the ideal time to pot them up with the true leaf growth. They would have more roots, and it'd be more of a nice, sturdy root ball. But you just put it in right here, get the roots down there, and that is it. I do like to make the soil rather even. It's not that important. That's just something I can't stop myself from doing. So there you go, Flaming Flare. Put my tags in. Definitely don't want to forget the tags. And there you go. That is all there is to it, to potting up. I will give them a little bit of water, and then about 2 or 3 days after they were transplanted into these larger containers, I will hit them with a water-soluble fertilizer. But I want to let them get, comfortable in their new home, settle in, and then I'll give them the fertilizer so they can uptake that and be on their way to becoming a big, healthy pepper plant. I'm going to see if I can find, I don't know. I'm trying to show you what to do when you put 2 seeds in, they both germinated. And if you didn't care and you just wanted one, you can just cut off the one right at the soil level, and then you only have 1 plant. But if you want to keep them both, you can do that. I want to show you how you do that. I just don't know if I really have any that are quite ready, so maybe I'll just do these Cali Wonders, even though they just have their first set of true leaves. So it's not really the time to pot these up, but I will do it anyways. Let me get my containers here. And I will pull these out. So you just want to pop them out the same way. Like I said, these are not quite ready to do this at all. But you have them right here, and you just kind of want to work the soil. You can be a little more gentle doing this. Work the soil, and then you can kind of tease them apart. And you're going to see that these root systems are not very established. And that is interesting to see. You can see this guy's really small, and the root system's pretty tiny. This one's a little bit larger. You can see obviously it's growing a little bit better, and you got a better root system here. So I will take something like this little bamboo skewer, make a little bit of a hole here, and then I'll just kind of push it in there just like that. And I'll come around and make sure it's in there nicely. And that is all it takes. So that way, if you do have 2 seeds or 2 seedlings in one cell, you can easily push them apart and save both of them. If you don't need both of them, then you obviously just cut one out, and that would be the end of that. So I'll put this guy in here. And just to let you guys know again, these were way too small to be doing this, but I just wanted to show you how you can save both seedlings if you had 2 seeds germinate. So there you have it, a little tiny pepper seedling there. They will do just fine. They will most likely have a little bit more transplant shock just because they didn't have a well-established root system, as established as I would like it. But so maybe they have a little transplant shock, but in the end, they will grow and they will do just fine. So there you have it, guys. I got some of my pepper plants potted up. The rest I'm going to give a little bit more time. They're not quite ready, but at least I got a nice head start on some of my trays. I'm going to have about 8 trays. Here's 2 of them. I got a third one over there, and this is a half of a tray already potted up. So it gave me a nice head start. And a lot of these were ready to be potted up. So let's recap a little bit. The reason we pot up is because we want to give the pepper plant more room to grow. It's going to have a stronger root ball so that when you go to transplant it outside, it's going to be healthy, happy, and it's going to be able to adjust to the outdoors and take off for you when the temperatures are right and the soil temperature is right. So that's what you're looking for there. When you pot up, you want to see, a good set of 2 true leaves, which I showed you earlier. And, you wanted them to be looking pretty good when you go to pot them up. And ideally, when you do that, you'll be able to pop the root ball out. It'll stay together, and you can put it right in your soil. Like I said earlier, you don't want the soil to be super dry. You don't want it to be super wet. So somewhere in between, it's going to help keep the root ball together. But if they're at the right time to pot up, like some of these right here, it's going to stick together very well, and you can just plop it right into your container. So I hope this helped you guys a little bit. Just remember, potting up is not that difficult of a process. You don't have to be as gentle as you may think. Just, do it with some ease. You don't want to be super rough, but the root systems are pretty strong, and they're going to go in their new home, and they're really going to take off. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you found it helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe. I look forward to the next video. I'm gonna be having you guys out in the garden and really start showing you the spring garden and how it's kind of starting to fill up. And I'm gonna look forward to that one. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful day.